Hey everyone, I'm back at it again today, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking about why failure is your best friend in strength training and in life. Now, if that sounds interesting to you, then make sure to like and subscribe, and make sure to stay until the end of this video because I think you'll get the best type of value out of it that will seriously improve your life tenfold. Now, what comes to mind when you think of failure? A lot of people think that failing means that they failed entirely, that they should give up, that there's no point in continue trying. Now, I'd actually like to give a rebuttal to that, and it's that failure is what you need in life in order to become successful, in order to push forward. And I'll talk about in this video how I failed, how I've learned from those failures, and how I think that you the individual can learn from your own failures and where you should go from there, and how it can actually over time have your life go from basically a plateau to going like this. It'll exponentially grow. So let's dive into it. Why is failure such an important thing in life? You probably heard about it before, but failure is one of those things where, for example, in school, a lot of the time we're actually punished for failure. Failure is one of those things that we look at as a negative thing in life. And depending on what you failed at, yes, it can be. But failure is actually how human beings learn. Ironically, I think the modern education system actually teaches us to look at failure as a very bad thing, because it's a way to keep us easily controlled and a way for us to not try new things. Basically, inherently, you're becoming a slave, but I'll come back to that point in another video. Essentially, when we think of failure, we think of it as, oh, I shouldn't try this thing, and we're punished for our failures. But the thing is, when you punish somebody too hard for their failures or their mistakes, they're unwilling to try anything new, because they'll associate those failures with not trying, and that being the right thing you're supposed to do, and it's not. Personally, I believe that as individual, most of the successful people, all of the successful people that you can think of, they all failed tons of times. Some of them failed spectacularly, but then they were able to make that comeback after their failure, because they realized that, okay, I need to be able to fail and pick myself back up. I need to fail and build myself back up from that failure. A couple of examples that I'll use will be with physical activity, because I have injured myself pretty badly doing certain activities, and I think that those lessons taught me a lot about life and about my own mentality, and how I think those can help you in your own mentality. There was one time where I was actually training in martial arts and in Muay Thai, and one day I was kicking. We were doing these drills called lumberjack drills. Basically, somebody's in the middle holding a pad, and two of us are on opposite sides kicking back and forth. One person is doing a regular roundhouse, the other person is doing a switch kick. And unfortunately, I stepped a bit far back. I was fantastic at kicking at this point. I had done karate and I had done Muay Thai for about 2 years at this point, or a year and a half at this point. It's so scuffed what happened. What happened was, I unfortunately stepped a bit too far back, and when I did that, my foot landed on its side and my whole body weight went onto it, and it basically sprained my ankle. It snapped like that. I heard the snap. I fell back in pain holding my foot, and everybody was like, oh shit, are you okay? Everybody came over and was like, oh shit, are you okay? They came over to me. I was like, I really hurt my ankle. And I went to the doctor the next day. I thought I just slightly twisted it, but I went to the doctor the next day and realized that I full on sprained my ankle. I didn't break it, thank God, but I sprained it. And from that point on, I realized, okay, I need to condition my ankles, and I need to condition my legs so that doesn't happen again. I need to be more wary of what I'm doing, and I need to, practice more and properly so that doesn't happen again. Because I was basically out of doing multiple things for a couple of months. I did hip hop and I did acrobatics at the time still. And along with along with Muay Thai, obviously. So I was pretty much down for the count for a little bit. From that point, I haven't sprained my ankle since. I've conditioned them properly. I do like heavy squats now, and my ankle doesn't even bother me. I'm able to run and sprint, and I'm basically totally fine. Another mistake I've made recently was I actually broke the tip of my middle finger. And it was because, again, not paying attention. This was recently. The ankle sprain was years ago. I was dumbbell bench pressing on the incline press with my friend, and I didn't realize it, but he had set his weights right under me. And unfortunately, when I finished, I set it down and I decided to slam it down on the ground. And I accidentally set my right finger onto it while holding it and broke the very tip of my middle finger while also tearing the skin from the nail a little bit. And I was bleeding out all over the place. He took me to the hospital. We got it cleaned up. But it was pretty painful. It's one of the most painful things that's ever happened. I had never broken a bone. That's the first time that's happened. And it was a compound fracture. It broke straight through, So the thing is that when this happened, now what had happened after this is I realized I need to pay more attention to my surroundings. I need to make sure that everything is out of the way, and unfortunately I have been displaced out of work. This ironically actually gives me the ability to put in disability insurance since I live in California, and I'll be getting my first check sometime next week. But I can spend the time doing other things, like I can rest more properly, I can go to the gym now and do lighter workouts, I can cook for myself, and I've been able to stay at home and just also focus on doing this for YouTube. So the thing is that you take the good with the bad, but those failures, learn from other people's mistakes and failures as well. I'm not saying you have to go out and do these. Do not sprain your ankle on purpose. Do not break your finger like I have. But you should realize that, failure is exactly how we were able to get to the point that we're at today. And it's how you eventually become successful, because from your failures, you're able to learn and course correct. So that way you go on the right path to the thing that you want to do specifically. So, those are injuries I've gotten. I've also failed some lifts sometimes. I've failed plenty of lifts multiple times, but if I hadn't failed and then course corrected from there, I wouldn't have gotten to the point that I've gotten to now, where I'm stronger than most people in society, and that's not even saying that much. I'm barely scratching the surface of my true potential, and I think a lot of people are as well. I think a lot of people are very much scratching the very surface level of their potential, because every time they fail, they decide to give up after that. If it wasn't for failures, we wouldn't have light bulbs. If it wasn't for failures, we wouldn't have cell phones, we wouldn't have computers, we wouldn't have cars. And the thing is that, and the reason I brought up light bulbs specifically is I believe it's Edison who said, I haven't failed, I've just found out. I haven't failed 1,000 times, I just found out 1,000 times or 999 times how something doesn't work. And on the 1,001st or the 1,000th time, that's when you figured out what to do properly. And it's gonna take time, it's gonna take effort, but I think it's truly worth it in the end, because eventually you'll get to a point where you won't even remember those failures, or you will remember those failures, but they won't stop you from pushing forward. And honestly, the more you fail, the more you get rejected, the more times you miss something, the better you get each time, the better you start to redirect your attention and your focus towards the thing that you want. So, granted all of these things happening, it allowed me to bounce back and potentially do better than where I was at, because now I've also redirected myself mentally, and that's why I'm able to focus on, creating content more. That's why I'm able to focus on building up my brand, why I'm able to focus on Vexick Fitness, and why I think it's one of those things that can really help you become the best version of yourself. And think of it this way: every single time you work out and your body gets to exhaustion, your body has to repair itself, and those muscles that couldn't bench 150 pounds eventually grow back, and the muscle fibers become stronger and tighter and bigger, and you can eventually bench 2 plates or more. You could eventually squat like 3 plates or more for reps. And it's one of those things where it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, but it will happen if you just keep moving forward. There's also a saying from Think and Grow Rich, if I remember correctly, where a guy he bought a mine, a gold mine, and then stopped, and because he couldn't find any gold, sold it to another guy, then found out that he stopped only 4 feet away from where he was at. And the saying that he tells himself ever since he had sold that mine and stopped 4 feet away from gold, he told himself the saying all the time, anytime he tried to become successful in any new endeavor, is remember that you stopped only 4 feet away from gold. Literally. So, make sure to keep that in mind anytime you're trying to push ahead, and especially whenever you're trying to become stronger and more confident. And hey, those failures might tell you that you need to take a different approach with things as well. So don't just take it where I just got to go harder, I just got to go stronger. You might need to change things up, but I think that you will be able to know that better than anybody else, and eventually you'll be able to get help and push yourself to the proper areas that you're supposed to go in. That being said, that's it for today's video. And for those of you who don't know, my name is Rick Goodman. I am the creator of Vexick Fitness, and I'm here to create a strong society by building strong individuals. If that interests you, then make sure to like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more great content such as this, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.